Hi, everyone. Welcome to the EO Wonder Podcast. I'm Kalika Yap. Today's guest is Ivan Estrada, the founder of Ivan Estrada Properties, based in Beverly Hills, California. Ivan's path into real estate started early. While earning his degree in finance and accounting at USC, he knew property was his lane. After a career as a CPA, he made the jump into real estate in 2007 and built a business that serves everyone from first-time buyers to clients purchasing multi-million-dollar homes. You may recognize Ivan from TV too. He's been featured on Million Dollar Listing, House Hunters, and Open House, and he's known for teaching on social media through his series, The Real Estate Minute. Ivan is also part of EOLA, and today we're getting to a topic which I absolutely love, which is EO and AI. So let's jump in. Welcome to the EO Wonder Podcast, Ivan.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And I adore you. So I'm like, as soon as you asked me, I was like, yes, let's do it. I'm excited.
Ivan, the first time I met you, you were singing in front of the chapter at EO Alchemy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was At Last,
It
right? At
was
a dance.
At Last. And it was actually, so our president at the time, Andy, because I love to sing. The only thing is, so I did have vocal cord surgery because of all the singing. And so usually I need a couple of days to warm up, or else I can actually cause damage to my vocal cords again. And Andy that morning was like, hey, we have an issue. I said, what's the issue? He's like, well, the person who is going to kind of start off the conference called in sick. So I need you to sing. And I was like, Andy, I'm like, I would love to, but like, I need time to warm up. He's like, do whatever you need to do. Warm up in the car. He's like, I need you. And so, of course, like Andy, which you know very well, like I love the guy to death, not just because he was the president, but he's a huge part of our organization. I'm like, look, we're all in this together. I am going to vocalize in the car. I vocalized for like 2 hours all the way to Santa Barbara. And then there I was, like in that little spotlight, saying At Last. And it was so much fun because, I mean, I've been singing my whole life, literally since I was 5 years old. So it was nice for people to see a different part of me other than the real estate guy. They got to see like my musician side.
Oh my gosh, could you give us a little snippet?
Sure, let me see. At last, my love has come along. My lonely days are over. So there's a little snippet
You
without vocalizing because I wasn't ready for that.
you are absolutely so anyway, it gave me shivers when I saw you singing. And I think that what draws me to you is like you have this magnetic and charismatic personality. Did you always know that you were going to be a performer or because you perform, teaching people about real estate. Did you know that as a young kid?
So I grew up in Glendale. So my dad was a janitor. My mom worked at a warehouse. So we didn't have a lot of money. But what we did have was music. So on the weekends and when we would kind of clean up the house, my mom would just play like music like Selena, who's one of my favorite artists.
Selena.
And so that was something that was free. And we would just kind of sing and like clean the house together. And that just became like a really important part of my life. And so for me, even now to this day, if I don't feel great or if I feel amazing, like music is always in the background. It's in the background of my house. It's in the car when I'm working out. But just like it was one of those things that just like it was a way for me to express myself and still a way to express myself. Where like for me, music isn't just music. It's like it's feelings, it's frequency, it's energy. It's like it's a huge part of my, I think, genetic makeup. And so that's why it's so important to me.
I love whenever I meet an entrepreneur, they are always so multifaceted, and music is always a big part of it because I think that with music, it also draws out like a different type of intelligence.
100%. I mean, I'm very left right brained, right? Because I have the logical side. I'm the CPA. I'm the business guy. I run the numbers, right? Which is usually from up here. And I feel like music is from here, right? It's not, it's from your heart. And so for me, like in my business or in my life, like my brain and heart are always competing, or they sometimes will work together in harmony. And I've learned through time, through training, through meditation, through my spirituality, to try to be able to combine them in a beautiful way. And so I think for me, just music, like if I'm stressed or if I need to make a big decision, I literally will listen to a certain type of music, close my eyes, and then the answer to what I was pondering just like it just unfolds.
Do you think it's because music brings out like energy?
Absolutely. I mean, when you think about like going back like, hundreds of years, I mean, especially being Mexican, like the indigenous people, music was such a big part of their ceremonies, of their happiness, of all the things that would bring them together. Like in my culture, and I feel like in a lot of cultures, it's music and food, right? And so for me, music, it's just like one of those things where it just no matter what language you speak, what country you're from, if you have a great piano player or guitar player or violinist, you don't have to know the specific language. Like it'll touch you no matter where you're like what part of the world you're from. So and that's why I think music is so beautiful.
And I think it also, you were saying earlier, touches the heart or opens up your heart.
Mhm.
And I think entrepreneurship, you really have to have that level of that dimension in order to be really successful.
100%. I mean, look at you. I mean, you're so other than being beautiful, you're very multifaceted. And I feel that a lot of the people in our chapter, if not all the people in our chapter, I always say that we're all kind of like a Rubik's cube, right? Like you got the blue side and the green side and the orange side. And there's also so many different combinations that you can get from a Rubik's cube. And, I think that to be especially in this day and age as an entrepreneur, you need to be aware of what your blue and your green side is, right? Like your gifts, your purpose, like what are the things that you're good at and the things that you're not good at? Because I used to try to work so hard to be good at the things that I wasn't good at. And, through life and lessons and life, you learn, wait, I can either spend more time to try to get good at the things that I don't really love doing or that I'm just not my natural given gifts, or I can hire the right person who already has that, who can complement me on my gifts, right? And we can work together.
Right. So like putting a circle into like a square
Exactly.
by
And
peg.
sometimes you could keep trying and it's like, okay, this isn't working.
Yeah. Let me ask for some help.
Exactly.
So you came from humble beginnings, just as I, and I'm also an immigrant. Um, how did you get from that beginning to USC, the University of Spoiled Children?
Oh
Sorry.
God. Well, so yeah, so my mom and dad immigrated from Mexico pretty early on. My dad, like I said, was a janitor most of his life and a house painter, and my mom worked at a factory for most of her life as well. And other than music in the household, it was books. So my mom used to take my sister and I at a very young age to the library every Saturday and every single day during summer. So for us, summer was like her opportunity to teach my sister and I. She would, even though we couldn't, our finances were very limited, it was important that I had violin lessons and piano lessons and karate, and that my mother would expose me. There's a book, Outliers, where it talks about like, certain outliers. You were either born at a certain time or there were certain things that growing up kind of like was able to really open up your mindset, expand your brain, and all these little things that my mom was doing for us. And I asked her, did you know that this was going to actually like make both my sister and I very successful at a later age? And she said, absolutely. I didn't need a book to tell me that. She's like, so for us, education was the key to success, especially in this country where it was, if you don't have the money to go to a private school or to get the tutors, sometimes unfortunately, you kind of get left behind. And so my mom said, we may not have the money, but we have books and we have libraries. And so she would take us to the library as much as she possibly could. And for me, reading and math, which became very easy to me, it was just like one of those God-given gifts, was what really helped me to like believe in myself. And even though my parents financially couldn't get us to for me to pay for USC, but I got scholarships. I got so many scholarships and I got a completely free, I think I paid $5,000 of my college tuition. Everything else was scholarships that I wrote and I got with the help of my family.
Hey, my daughter got rejected from USC and she went to Harvard Westlake, right? A private
Mhm.
school here in Studio City. And even with a, SAT of 1540 and 4.3 GPA, I mean, it really takes a lot to get into USC. And I think that it is such a testament to who you are as a person. You really was an outlier and you stood out. You mean you already had a brand back then, probably.
Correct. And that's the thing that, I wrote a book on it called Brand with Purpose, my book, which, you know, we kind of throw that whole word around like, what is a brand? And, for me early on, like my brand was determination, right? Was not giving up. My mom would always say, look, and she was pretty hardcore. My mom would always say, look, you may not be the smartest in the room, but I know that you will always be the most hardworking. And that was my brand. No matter what happens, I will work hard. I will outwork hard. I will outwork anyone I have to in order to make my dreams a reality.
And you know what's interesting about you? You don't look stressed out. You still have this ease about you. Like behind the scenes, you're working, resilient, tenacious, but you're so cool and chill.
I try. I think meditation, honestly, has been a game changer for me. But honestly, I think also that comes from just my mom, even though our life was pretty crazy and hectic, 'cause both my mom and dad were working at all times. But like on the outside, they kept it calm. They knew that they didn't want to stress my sister and I out about money or whatever it was that they were stressing out about. And I learned that pretty, I think having control over your emotions, and also which is key, I think, for an entrepreneur, anyone, especially nowadays. It's like, being able to control your emotional side so you can make logical decisions and not make rational emotional decisions, which then you might have to then, go back and apologize or kind of take a couple of steps back because you were thinking with, as much as your heart is important, you were thinking more with your heart, where maybe at that moment maybe using a little bit more logic was a little bit more important.
Right. It's very Stoic philosophy esque. You're
Mhm.
like you can't control you can control what you can control, and the only thing you can control is your reaction to what's
Mhm.
happening.
Exactly. And I love that you bring that up because I mean, honestly, every single day, like people like Carl Jung, like I that's how I live my life by, there, like what you said was so important. It's, you know, the world, things happen no matter what. And sometimes us as humans, we attach a story to it or an emotion, where in reality, it's just what happened was just what happened. Right. And if we kind of keep it like that, then we don't get hurt and we don't get attached to certain outcomes. And, I think, again, bringing back the whole, emotional side and being able to control your emotions, it's like in this day and age as an entrepreneur, it's so important. It's what keeps you really focused. And no matter what is happening in the world, like you can stay focused and goal oriented and just kind of follow that path that you set for yourself.
Right. Keep your eye on that North Star.
Exactly. No matter what.
Yeah. And what also draws me to you is like you're a very good communicator. And I think that's why you had this educational series on social media, the Real Estate Minute. Did you always know you were an excellent teacher?
No, I didn't actually. I thought, I always felt like I was an excellent student, but as a teacher, it wasn't until I think after college, and it was one of those things where it was like not an accident, but it's someone else. It took someone else to show me a side of myself that I never saw. And I think that was after I left my accounting career and went into real estate, where I would ask to be chosen to speak at conferences, pretty early on in my career to be and a panelist. And a lot of the attendees would always, ask me after the fact, like, "Wow, how you explain that, like, I really understood it." I think I'm a natural storyteller. I loved my dad is a natural. I mean, that's where I get that from. And I think with everything that I do, I love attaching a story to it, right? It's not just about what I say, but how I say it and how I frame it, so that not just one person, but multiple people in the audience can actually feel like they're part of that process, right? Where it's like, oh, everyone's involved. This is as a whole. And so I think through time and my storytelling and also pushing myself to do uncomfortable things, right, allowed me to become a better storyteller and to become a better communicator. Because I think in order to be a better communicator, it's Well, one, you need to know what you're communicating, right? Which is super important. And then number two is really helping identify and kind of figure out how to frame it, how to tell the story, how to make it land with multiple people. Because I think that's the key for of being able to be a good teacher, right? That not just one person in the room understood you, but everyone.
So you really care about your audience.
Oh, 100%. I always, you know, will always be a student of life. I think when you get to the point of like, oh, I feel like I know everything, that to me is a red flag. I'm always trying to put myself in other people's shoes. When I speak, even here today, I'm like, what can I say to your listeners, knowing your audience, that they're going to walk away with something that will help them either in their personal life or in their business life, or they're thinking about making a major decision. And there could be this one little thing that I say that will help them get that little leap of faith and actually encourage and go for it. Right. And so for me, it's always important to like figure out like, how can I help as many people as I can? Who's the audience, and what can I say that is not about me? Because I think at the end of the day, this podcast isn't about you or about me. It's about the audience and what we can give them to make their life better.
So the audience is the Global Entrepreneurs Organization.
Mhm.
What advice would you give to someone who's listening right now?
Wow, so much. I mean, I think right now for being like the entrepreneur is AI, right? So, in which I think maybe we can talk about a little bit about that is I've heard this from multiple people, especially the younger generation of entrepreneurs, that they think that because of AI, well, now what? There's going to be no opportunities, and like anything that I can think of or any idea, an AI is going to do it, right? Like there's no opportunities for me, and I think that's absolutely false, 100%. I mean, for me, and I'm sure you feel the same way too, it's like AI is another tool just like the internet, right? Where us, and this is something I actually heard at a podcast the other day. It's like there's so much information out there that people think, oh, well, I don't want to give them my tips or tricks. Where they're like, 99% of people, even if you give them the tips or tricks, they're not going to do anything. Only 1% actually execute, right? And so I feel that in this day and age of AI, you know, AI is going to be such an incredible opportunity for those entrepreneurs that can really attach themselves to it, figure out how to use it. And then, like, literally, I think like 20 years ago, if you had an idea, it could take maybe 5 to 10 years to get it off the ground, where now it's like, it could probably take you months, if not less, right? By using this incredible technology.
Yeah. I was watching today someone saying that he came up with this app in 30 minutes. But of course, you always have to have a human point of view.
Right.
I think that is the one thing that we also have to always remember, the human part of AI. How are you including humans in your AI journey?
How am I including humans? I think, well, most importantly, I think I'm including myself in the whole AI journey, because I think I I mean, up until this point, I'm controlling the AI, right? Not the AI controlling me. So for myself, it's, me using AI in my business, like how can I still maintain that personal connection with all my clients? Because there's a lot of things that I've tested, and we even talked about this, right? Like for a while I thought, "Oh, let me clone my voice and myself and maybe do some videos." I tried that. After looking at it myself, I thought, we're a step closer to this being super realistic, but there's still that part that's missing, right? Okay, maybe this is not the best way to use AI at this time. But when it comes to communicating with my clients, like I've been able to really like my reports and everything that I create for clients, I mean, I'm taking them up a notch. I can go to a client's home and go through their whole property, take photos and figure out where can they add value so that when we list it, they can get more money for their property. I create these incredible reports before and after. This is how much it would cost if we would replace countertops, redo floors. Hey, if we spend $80,000, your ROI on this is going to be 210. Should we do it? Great, let's do it. This whole report that would have taken me days now only takes me 4 to 5 minutes, right? I mean, which is incredible, right? And there's still that kind of clients are like, wow, this is incredible. You just gave me an incredible amount of value, financial value, um, for the upcoming sale of my property. So I think it's important to use it as a tool to amplify what you're good at, because I know I'm a good realtor and I know I could have created that report, but it would have taken me a really long time, where now I'm like, wow, what else was taking me like days or sometimes even months to put together, where now I can accelerate the process by using AI.
And the fact that you even had the idea to put together the report, I think that is a game changer, because a lot of real estate agents won't even go there.
I haven't heard of anyone doing it. Well, now probably people are going to do it, but it's okay. Like I said, right? Some people will take the information, take the notes. Oh, that's awesome. And they'll never actually implement it.
Right. But then they're looking at you and thinking you're using your expertise to actually help them level up.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what, at the end of the day, I think for all the entrepreneurs listening to this, it's like AI should excite you. Like, it excites me so much, because I feel like if I were to fear it, yeah, it's going to create more fear. And then I'm going to think of all the things that AI is going to take away from me, instead of all the great things AI is going to give me and us.
Right. I know when we were last talked, you were talking about all the tools that you were using. I loved your videos of you in front of like the pyramids and in different areas. So how are you using AI today? And that was only just, I think, maybe a month ago that we
Yeah.
talked.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm using ChatGPT like everyone else. I mean, that's a daily use for creating reports, creating before and after photos of like I said, I could put a property and say, we would like to paint this room in this color wallpaper. This is a furniture type, and it'll literally give me the before and after within seconds, which is amazing. And I also use it as a therapist. Even though I have a therapist, it always kind of helps me get a little bit more perspective in the things that I want to get better at. But there's also like other really cool sites like Sora, right? Which I thought is really cool, right?
Amazing.
So
Everyone,
fun.
music, you can explain to everyone.
Yeah, so Sora, I mean, allows you to kind of, you'll take a couple of photos and it'll listen to your voice, and you can create videos of yourself in any situation. And actually, the video that I had put up was, and people, by the way, 90% of the people thought that was real. They're like, oh my God, like that must have taken you forever to film. Where I was like selling real estate from the beginning of time, right? Like going through like the Renaissance era, like the Jesus era, like all these different eras of real estate. And then at the end, I'm in front of a, modern mansion. And so, kind of, and the whole tagline was like, like selling real estate through centuries of time. And that was really cool. And people thought I actually put on the
Well, it looked
costumes.
like you.
It looked pretty similar, right? And this is just now. Like I can only imagine 12 months from now what's going to be capable,
Yeah,
right? So at the end of the day, it was my idea.
exactly.
It's just I used a tool to really kind of bring it to life, where if I had to bring this to life 5 years ago, you have to go get the set, get all the costumes, get the videographer, get all like the story editors, the mic people. Like again, not trying to get anyone out of business, but there's certain things that like what we're doing now, where we need the cameras and we need the people and we need the mics. And then there's other cool things that we could do where, it's just expressing ourselves and we don't need the whole, get up, I guess.
And you can also experiment, because what if that series didn't work and
Exactly.
spend $100,000 in that shoot?
Exactly. Exactly. It's always a way to kind of even like mock it up to see if, let's say, if you have an idea for a product where you can mock it up, throw it out to the audience, see what they think. And if they gravitate to the idea, great, cool. Now let's take it away from AI and actually build it out.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting because my daughter thinks like AI is so cringe, because
Mhm.
people are going to have their jobs taken away. And I was using an AI music tool and I created the
Mhm.
song, and she was just like, that's awful or whatever.
Yeah.
But then I also told her, like, well, if you're going to go down that rabbit hole, then you should probably stop flying on airplanes, because airplanes use AI. You
Mhm.
should stop using Waymo, because Waymo is using AI. Like, at what point do you draw the line, when it
Yeah.
comes to AI?
And that's like, honestly, I think that's a very, very important conversation. Unfortunately, I don't feel like I'm the most qualified person to have that conversation, but I obviously have my opinions, where I do agree that there has to be some type of control, because people do need jobs, right? We need people, especially on the creative side, that are so valuable that I think should not get replaced by AI. I think AI does need to have some type of checks and balances, right? Like everything else, right? Everything else has checks and balances, or else people will abuse it. And so, we'll see how all that rolls out. Again, I don't have I would say like a certain standpoint because I use it. I don't know if I'm very aware of all the nuances when it comes to like, jobs and policies and all those other things. But, to a degree, I do understand her because it would be a concern of mine thinking, how old is your daughter?
She's 18.
18, right? Like what happens if by the time I get out of college, the job that I want is no longer a need because now a machine is replacing me. So I get it and I totally understand.
Well, a lot of experts are saying focus on branding and storytelling and leadership, because I think those are things that will stay here, because you still need to have a point of view. You still need to be able to tell a story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%. And I think, I think it's like one of those things where my mom said, I remember when people were freaking out about the internet.
exactly.
Right? Like that was such a freak out. And also how people were freaking out when people started getting cell phones. Like, what do you mean cell phones? Like what's going to happen to the phones at home and all the, we're really as a society, we're very resilient. We will figure it out, right? I think we just have to like with one of those things, it's like if you don't adopt it, then what? What is the alternative? You don't want to stay behind. That's the thing. I always tell my friends, my clients, and everyone who is a bit fearful and hesitant about AI, I'm like, I get it, but try to do the best that you can to get comfortable with it because I know it's uncomfortable. And, like I said, use it, don't let it use you.
That is absolutely perfect. And what's really interesting, when I was thinking about the internet, when I started my business back in 1996, and I would have never been able to imagine that something like Uber Eats would be available, right? Like people did not want to buy anything online, and they were spending $300,000 in an e-shop, when now with Replit, you can spin up a website in 4 minutes.
I know, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So when you're using these tools like ChatGPT as a therapist, are you using audio, or how are you using, or are you still typing in?
Oh no, I
Yeah.
use audio.
Yeah.
I use audio. I mean, I will put in audio in my car, and if I have 15 minutes to like burn, I literally, I'm always, I'm the person who, I was the little kid who I'm like, why? Well, I would have a question about, well, why is it like that? And why, who said it was like that? Like, why? I've always, I'm fascinated by the brain. I'm fascinated by humans and why they do the things that they do. And literally, like, I would be embarrassed if someone put a camera in my car, but like, I was yesterday on my way to the house. I had a weird kind of spirit, like ghost thing happen at the office, and we've talked about it in the past because something's going on in that office. And I just started talking about ghosts to my GPT, and he was like, "Well, I don't really can't comment on that." And I'm always trying to like push its limits because I think there's only a certain amount you can push with the chat GPT. But it's cool to just be able to like have conversations about troubles that you're having at home, at the office, or ideas and always literally all the time with my chat GPT, I'm always asking like, hey, so I'm working on this project which like what else can I do? Like give me some more perspectives. Like what else am I missing? Like what else am I missing? And then I'll probably say something like, oh my God, that's an incredible idea. Okay, great. Can you mock it up for me a little bit? And then I'll reach out to my graphic designers or reach out to the people who help me with the copy and have them finalize it. I just need something to show them.
Yeah. So do you think that real estate is going to be replaced by AI? You're saying that a lot of your other friends are using AI to follow up with leads.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Mhm.
I think that's a difficult question because with what we do, I think especially in Los Angeles, as you know, like homes are of a higher price point, right? Especially if you're buying a house in Beverly Hills, Bel Air, Malibu, and people of that caliber, they want a person. They want someone who understands the experience and the knowledge. And look, when you're buying, it doesn't matter who you are. When you're buying a 5, 10, $15 million home, my clients, like I always tell my clients, you guys are like my children. Like literally, they'll, are you, Ivan, are you sure that we can, especially when you're going through inspections, for these larger homes, you have 12 different types of inspections going on, right? And there's different things that, like, I would say, when it comes to being able to help someone emotionally get through a process, it's difficult. I don't think a robot can really kind of help you get there, because buying a house it's such an emotional process. So never say never. I'm always trying to do everything that I can so that I become irreplaceable, right? With my knowledge and my expertise and the brand that I build. But again, you never know, right? It's like one of those things where I will never say never, because I always want to be prepared no matter what. But I can also say that I think for something, at least when you're buying something of that caliber, that people are going to want at least some type of human interaction to oversee the process. Like maybe the smaller things get done through AI, which I'm doing now, getting a stack of HOA documents reviewed instead of me going through every single page, which used to take me hours. Now it takes me 5 to 10 minutes. I pass it through. I ask it what I need to ask it. I cite it. I actually go back to check
You
and
have to
make
do that.
sure. Great, but it found it all for me, so I don't have to spend there hours looking.
Yeah. What do you do with all your extra time now? I find like I have so much extra time. Like even coming up with a proposal, right?
I wish I had that problem. Unfortunately, I think like with my character type, I'm always like wanting to work and do more. I mean, I think what it has given me is, like, for example, right now I'm like doing doing more design work at my house. So it's broken down the time that I would probably spend Googling or looking for things when I could just open my chat GPT and put it on camera mode and say, these are the floors that I have. This is the curtains. This is the stone. I'm thinking about wood paneling. What kind of wood would go well with what I'm looking? Oh, well, this, and that. So I think that's great. But yeah, I mean, definitely it's a time saver for a lot of things. But I think for me, I'll always figure out something else to do.
Yeah. Or also another business perhaps, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it more and for those like people like who are out there with kids, and I don't have kids, but like more quality time with your kids,
Right.
with your pets, with
With
your
your
loved
friends.
ones. Like, how amazing is that to be able to buy some time to spend with people that are not replaceable by AI.
Right. And so you've been a host and appeared in many, many shows. How did that happen?
How did that happen? So well, I was in the entertainment industry as a kid. So I had camera training, and that was something that I just always felt comfortable in front of a camera. And also reason being, to kind of take it back to like the culture, was, growing up Mexican, American, I was born in the US. The only successful people I saw were on TV. So I wanted to be on TV, right? And so that's what I ended up doing. So I had the training, but for all the real estate stuff, when I actually got into real estate my first year, no one was doing videos. Absolutely no real estate agent. No. I mean, YouTube was for funny cat videos, right?
So you got in
A long
early.
time ago, over 15 years ago.
Wow.
And so I thought, I went to a seminar, and they said, what are the things that you love doing, that you're naturally talented at, and how can you use that to get business in real estate? And immediately I thought, video. Like, I have a camcorder at home, and I can create my own video and figure out how to edit. Like, I'll just go online and try to figure it out. And so that's what I did. And my manager at the time she was upset. She's like, you're wasting your time. You should be cold calling people and calling your sphere of influence, or go and knock on doors. And I thought, no, I think I'm going to do this because this has leverage. Like, one, nobody's doing it. And if I do and create my own little show, like, I can post it. At the time, there was no Instagram, there was no TikTok, there was Facebook. So I thought I could post it on Facebook, and I could post it on YouTube. And that's what I started doing. And I would do them consistently. So for all those entrepreneurs, like, consistency is key. And I was doing it weekly. And I would go to the Grove, prop up my camera, have my little lavalier mic that I would pass through a cord, and create my own little show. And I would do that all over town, and people started noticing, and other agents started noticing, and business started coming in. And then all of a sudden, then the network started calling saying, you're one of the only agents out there that's creating video content. And you kind of like give us like the whole, like you're in a newscaster. Like, would you want to do like a kind of like a little guest appearance and like help like, be one of the hosts for the show? I'm like, absolutely. Because at that time too, like most agents were like too afraid to go on camera. Like, oh, I don't like the way I look or how I sound. And I had already gotten all done through that when I was a kid. And so then, yeah, that came, a lot of incredible opportunities came along. I mean, $1 million listing came along. The opportunity to be a full-time character came along. Um, I decided not to go with that opportunity because I just felt that it just wasn't in line with my purpose and what I wanted to do. So it was one of those personal decisions, but I still use media and love doing it and love hosting and love providing content with value. And it just makes me very happy because I know that it's creating value for people in the real estate world, but it also scratches my creativity itch, which I love.
Yeah, and you're entertaining and educating at
Yeah,
the same time.
thank you.
So there's a guy, Ryan,
Sirhan.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
in New York.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's like you.
Well, I would, no comparison to Ryan. I mean, he's incredible. I mean, this guy, also very humble beginnings, started as an actor, moved his way to New York. We used the same business coach for a very, very long time. So I wrote a book, had a course, just like him. I was kind of following in his footsteps, and also the kind of the floor plan that was created from my coach to Ryan and to myself. And so, I mean, he's created an incredible brand. I mean, he's a machine. I mean, this guy, I mean, with his own TV show, obviously he was a $1 million listing. Now he has a Sirhan real estate show. He has courses as well. I mean, he's just like the embodiment of an incredible entrepreneur and also an incredible guy. Like I've met him a couple of times, and he's like a complete, like, he's a sweetheart.
Yeah. I mean, it just reminds me of you, or like, I don't know if you have any aspirations to do something similar.
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
I the older that I get, I'm 41. I'm gonna be 42 this year. Growing up with not a lot makes you feel like having stuff, cars, watches, all the value, material things is wealth and success. And over the last couple of years, that kind of, through more of my spiritual practice and meditation, it's kind of like destroyed that whole ideology for me, where yes, I always want to continue learning, and I'm always going to continue expanding my business. Like, my business grows year after year, and I'm so thankful because I feel that my life is a fairy tale. But at the same time, to have a life like Ryan, there's a lot of personal sacrifice, right? To have more stuff and more fame and more attention. And to me, maybe 5, 6 years ago, that Ivan would be like, yes, I will do whatever it takes to get that. But this day and age, Ivan loves spending time with his 5-year-old nephew and with my 75-year-old mother and my 70-year-old dad, who, they're not going to be here forever. And my nephews are not going to be young the rest of their lives. And I want to be able to, for me, the memories are the only things you're going to be able to take with you when we leave this planet. And so I don't want to say, well, I worked so hard, I made so much money, but I forgot to live. And I forgot to spend time with those people that make life worth living. And so, as much as I love Ryan, I don't want your life. Don't worry, I'm not going to compete for it. So, no need to watch your back. But I will create the own version for me that will give me that balanced life that for me is so important.
That is so wise, because it's like you went 30,000 foot above your life and just sort of saw it unfold, and like, this is the life I'm choosing today. And also too, you can really get anything that you want.
Oh, yeah.
Like whenever I see all my friends with like all the Hermes purses, etc., I just like, yes, I can, like, I have that. And like, and so what, like, after a certain amount, like, you're just like,
Yeah.
why do you need any more?
It's stuff.
Yeah.
It's stuff. And I
Yeah.
think, at the end of the day, like you said, and in my belief system, we could get anything we want.
We
Like,
can.
honestly, like
Anything.
this is a very abundant world, and there's so many things you can go and search for. But at the end of the day, with the laws of the universe, it all comes at a price, right? Are you willing to pay the price? That could be time, that could be your energy, at times your health, right? And so you have to be very smart on how bad do you want it, and how much are you willing to give up in order to get it.
Mm. So you have a really strong spiritual practice. Was there a catalyst that moved you into being more spiritual?
100%. So I am very open about this. I have been sober for over 6 years. Um, I think growing up, really kind of not loving myself. I'm part of the LGBTQ community. I didn't want to be. Unfortunately, I grew up in a culture and in a very conservative family where that wasn't okay, and I didn't want that for myself. Also, growing up very religious, my parents were still very Catholic. They've changed, and so has the parish and their whole community, at least from my parents' standpoint. But I grew up not loving myself, and so because of that, drinking made me happy. Drinking kind of softened the voices telling me that I wasn't worth it, and that I wasn't enough, and that I didn't matter. And so it wasn't until about 6 years ago where I decided that I was going to stop drinking. And thankfully, it wasn't one of those things where it was like, oh, he was a drunk and he was losing it and he was DUIs and all that. That wasn't my story. I think my story was like, in order to fully accept myself, I need to heal myself from any substances and actually listen to myself for once. Because I think anytime I wanted to listen to myself, I was like, I'll just have a glass of wine
And
instead.
it dampens those feelings and thoughts
100%. a hundred
and
percent.
numbs you, yeah.
My
Yeah, I stopped drinking
connection.
too in 2014, so
Oh, great.
yeah.
So you understand,
Yeah.
like, when
Mhm.
being 6 years, like, I feel like sometimes even the plants are
Right?
talking to
Right?
me. Like,
Right?
my senses, like my gut sense, right? Like when I get a gut feeling, and my intuition is like heightened, or
Yes.
sometimes I feel like I can even see the future.
Right.
And that's something that is so valuable to me. And so, that being sober allowed me to then open myself to meditation, and meditation opened, I kind of felt it allowed me to like really like calm down, and like you said, see my life. That's what allowed me to kind of see myself and my life for what it was and not what I thought it was. And so that's what for me then, like, as I started connecting all the points in my life, I would say I was definitely not religious. I was a bit, spiritual-ish, but as I started, like, as years went by, then I started connecting all the points, and like, and realizing, wow, like, life, at least for me, has not been a coincidence. Everything has had its purpose. Everything has had a meaning. Every connecting point has been a true life-changing connecting point. And it wasn't until I was able to be sober and actually see the signs that I was able to really connect myself to, like, okay, I don't know what this God or higher power, whatever it looks like, but there's definitely something that's going on that's beyond my comprehension, that, that is out there.
And didn't you also have the realization that you're valuable?
Oh, 100%.
Like, after all the drinking or alcohol is
Mhm.
off, then you realize, like, I'm a kind person, right? Like,
Mhm.
didn't those
Oh,
realizations come in?
100%. I
Yeah.
mean, cuz like, I would always tell people that within my psyche there was the cheerleader and the one who said you could do it, and then there was like like the little, the angel and the devil, the naysayer saying you're not enough, like you don't have this, like no one's going to take you seriously. And as time went by, like the cheerleader, I felt like the angel just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it allowed the little devil to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And it never goes away. It will always be there. And from time to time, it kind of peeks its ugly head. But I feel like I have this, big personality over here saying, no, forget about that guy. You've got this. Like, you
Right.
matter. You're amazing.
Yeah.
And for me, that's contributed in such a great manner to my mental health
Yeah.
and my psyche, which is, I think, like, especially nowadays, it's like so important.
Yeah. And it takes you back to your purpose, right?
Hmm.
And when you focus on your purpose, like for my purpose is to empower entrepreneurs to change the world. That's why, I spend time on this podcast. What's your purpose?
So my purpose, so I wrote my book Brand with Purpose. Um, like I had mentioned earlier, growing up, I didn't really have role models to look up to. I feel like maybe my life would have been a little bit different, but again, I'm a true believer that everything happened for a reason. That, when I wrote my book Brand with Purpose, and when I started seeing a lot of these like younger entrepreneurs, younger kids of color, or it doesn't disabilities, doesn't really matter, just kids that felt like they were marginalized or that they were kind of set aside because of who they are, their color, their skin, or like when I started speaking at these schools and talking to these kids one on one, like I realized like, wow, hopefully what happened today will be like a trigger point for them to go in a different direction, to believe in themselves or to love themselves a little bit more. And so, I tell people that real estate is my passion, but helping others, right, empowering them is my purpose. Getting on stage, which I love to do. Like I feel that me being in the entertainment industry was what allowed me to be on stage and be my comfortable, authentic self. And even though that career wasn't long term, then I went through the CPA and leaving that and following my gut and my passion and my purpose to real estate, learning the business side. And then, eventually as I then did my TEDx talk, wrote my book. And when I get on these stages, I'm like, wow, everything happened for a reason. And when I get people come up to me and say, look at this text message I just sent my daughter. Look at this thing I just sent to my brother, and it doesn't have to do with me coming out or their kids or daughters being part of the community. But sometimes, hey, my mom wanted me to be a doctor and I went and became an artist, and we haven't talked in years because of that. Or, certain things that have kept their parents and their siblings or, them away from their family for whatever reason. And if I can be like kind of a little bit of beacon of hope and light, like that's my purpose.
Yeah. So you're bringing families together because you're inspiring them to
Oh,
reconnect.
I love that. I've
Yeah.
never thought of it that way.
Right. Right. Like
Yes,
even
I
what you were
love the
just saying.
perspective you just gave me. It
Yeah.
wasn't AI, it was you.
So what are you looking forward to most in 2026?
For me in 2026, what I'm looking forward to most is really taking my, um, you know, public speaking and my message farther. I feel that it's time. I think there's an opportunity for me to do more of that. Like you said, what are you going to do with your free time? Right? Because real estate, I'm still growing my practice and have incredible people. But yeah, there is a little bit more free time. And I think I did start a new TikTok channel, Live Your Purpose with Ivan, which I love. And it's just me kind of just an hour, a minute and a half, 2 minutes of things that I learned, or I always tell myself like, what would little Ivan want to hear right now? And I just talk to my camera like if I was talking to little Ivan. And so really kind of taking that, to the next level, and doing more, because I feel that, that to me, I feel like the universe does, it always returns the favor. It's like, you help me, I help you. It's that, I think it's called the law of reciprocity. I don't know, I may be screwing this up, but that's what comes up to mind. And yeah, I want to do more of that because that's what really feeds my soul.
So you want to have a global impact to
100%.
inspiring people.
100%.
So if people, there are a lot of entrepreneurs who have their businesses but feel like they don't have a purpose.
Mhm.
What is their first step in finding their purpose?
So for me, finding my purpose, because I feel like my purpose found me, right? Where I was able to start connecting the dots, where all these kids were asking me, hey, like I've been following you and you're an inspiration. And hey, like I changed my what I was gonna graduate in college from because of something that you said. Or hey, like it kind of found me, but also I was at a point of that I was searching for it. Because I think in order for you to find your purpose, you need to be open enough to want to find your purpose, right? And there's different things that people have done. I think for me, finding my purpose, I needed to get sober, to listen to myself, because I think all the chatter in my head was not, exactly, it wasn't leading me down the right direction, and it also wasn't my purpose. Other people that I know, I think that, you know, we're they always say, like, your own thoughts are not your own thoughts. And, I've had friends who were at that point of like, I need to figure out what my purpose is. And they had to literally disappear for 2, 3 days. I had a friend who got a cabin in Big Bear, left his phone, went for 2, 3 days, and just listened to himself. He's like, it took a whole day for my mom's voice to go away, for my partner's voice to go away, from what the media was going, like, all the voices slowly drifted away after 24 hours. And then I was left with myself. Like, and I had to literally have a conversation with myself about, like, what does Michelle want? I know what my mom wants. I know what my partner wants. I know what my kids want. But, like, what does Michelle want? And sometimes we literally just, like you said, for me, sobriety kind of helped me see everything. It gave me like a 360 perspective of my life. Sometimes just removing yourself from your day in and day out, and like giving yourself that time to think and think, and allow yourself to be patient, and listen to your heart and listen to your brain, and be able to use both to like allow it to help you find your purpose.
So one of the amazing EO speakers, Don Depani, I interviewed him for this podcast too. So I asked him too, like, how do people find their purpose? And it was exactly what you said. You have to spend time with yourself, because like when you want to get to know your brother or your friend, you spend time with them. You ask questions, right? And then I'm thinking, and we never ask ourselves questions. We never ask ourselves, what do we really want? We never spend time reflecting.
Yeah, we
What,
don't. But it's like, in a day and age, especially now, with so much tech, with AI, with there's so much going on in every direction, that it's impossible to do so unless you choose to do so. And, for me, every year I give myself, which is why I feel like meditation is so important, to really kind of step away. Step away from your daily life, from your family life, ask your wife, husband for permission, your kids, and say, look, I need to feed my soul, and this is how I'm going to do it. And just step away and reflect and think. And I think that's like the best way to really kind of like to allow your purpose to find you. And I had a friend of mine who said, well, when is my purpose going to find me? I don't know. It all comes to us at different times. Some of us could have multiple purposes in our lifetime. Others may just be one. My sister, I had this like really emotional conversation with her about purpose, and she's like, "I know what my purpose is," and I'm like, "What it is? What is it?" To be the best mom that I can for Luca and Elio. And she had a tear, because that's her purpose. Her purpose is to be the best mother on the planet for her 2 sons, so they can have an incredible childhood, so that then they can fulfill their purpose down the road. And again, some of us are looking for these big purposes that we all have to accomplish and be superheroes, and sometimes you have to be the superhero to your own children.
yeah, exactly. Like how your parents were for you.
100%.
Yeah.
I know that their purpose was to empower my sister and I to be the best versions of ourselves and to be successful. And like, look, money aside and all the other material things, I am successful.
Yeah.
If I'm living a life of gratitude and a life where I feel completely fulfilled,
Yeah.
I think, it's been a successful mission.
Yeah. And success looks different for a lot of people. I love Dr. Brian Nemeth's definition of success. Success is doing what you said you're going to do consistently with clarity, focus, ease, and grace. And I think you embody all of that
Thank
because you're
you.
doing things consistently. You have clarity. You know what you're doing. You're focused on what you're doing. You have the sense of ease. And yet you have this gratefulness and this gratitude that's oozing out of you. Like, this is I knew where I came from, and and I'm thankful for all the abundance that I have.
Oh, I love you for that, for saying that. Oh, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. And thank you for having this podcast. Because again, it's something that you're creating for your audience to help others. And, yeah, it costs you time and it costs you money. I showed up and I was like, whoa, I am impressed, like
In
this
this
is a
rental.
big deal,
Yeah.
and what you're doing is, you're helping people. You're not, it's not like to watch my podcast, you have to pay $25 a month. Like,
Yeah.
you're doing this because you want to help people, which I
Yeah.
think is such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I guess That's why we're both an EO, because the Entrepreneurs Organization, really brings together like-minded entrepreneurs who really want to make a difference in this world.
Yeah, and we all are in our own little way. We're all in others much bigger than others, but like you said, it's not about the size. It's about the impact, right? Like it's about the impact that you're making, and that, like, again, someone could be watching this from anywhere in the world and be inspired by something that you say or that I say or that your next, your next guest says that will completely change their life. And
Yeah.
that's a beautiful thing. A thing that we will probably never know that we did, but that's lovely that it's out there, and it's just kind of, it just kind of keeps moving and growing.
And EO podcasts now have had 500,000 downloads.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, and thank you so much for being part of this journey. How do people find you, get to know you, get your book, etc.?
Yeah, so my website is ivanestrada.com, so my full name, and that's where, like, my real estate side is, my courses, my book, Brand with Purpose, and anything that I have coming up as it comes to any kind of public speaking opportunities that I get.
What about TikTok, Instagram?
Yeah, so I have my business Instagram and TikTok. It's Ivan Estrada Properties. So that's all the real estate stuff. And then for my TikTok is Live with Purpose by Ivan. And that's more of the spiritual. It's where I combine business and spiritual together.
Oh, that is so wonderful. We're like so the same level. Thank you so much for being part of the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.